So, hi everybody. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for some people to come on and we'll get started today. Hi Victoria. Oh, I'm so glad you're able to join us. Nice to have you here. Just going to wait a couple of more minutes and then I'll get started. Victoria, where are you from? Where are you located? Okay. South Carolina. Wonderful. Okay. Not been there yet. It's always been a dream of mine to go to Charleston, actually. So hopefully sometime in the near future I can get there. It would be nice. Okay. Okay, so I'll get started and people will come along as I move along. So I'm Susie Grusin, and I've been coming here weekly to share some tips and tools that I have used when dealing with my BDD and even an eating disorder. I suffered with that for over 30 years, and I found ways to handle it and overcome it, and it's my goal and my passion to share what I've learned to help anybody who's dealing with these diseases. I know the struggle is very hard, and I want to be able to help people with what I've learned to help overcome it. I do want to say that I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a behavioral therapist, just a woman who has suffered with these diseases for such a long period of time and want to be able to share my knowledge and what I've used to help myself. So I'm here every Tuesday, and you can come back here and learn the different tools and techniques. And you can also review the previous Facebook Lives that I've done on this page. They're there to review some other tips. So, hi Tina, thank you for joining. So, I wanted to ask you, do you ever wonder if there's some easy tools or easy way to change your mindset? Well, there is. You see, with BDD, we lack the motivation or lack energy to do what we want to do. We're so obsessed with the thoughts of not liking ourselves, what we look like, and it takes up so much time and energy, and we get stuck in that modality and in that frame of mind that it's hard to switch, because sometimes what we're doing, the behaviors that we do and the thoughts that we have are almost like automatic. It becomes so ingrained in us because we've done it over and over again, and the fears that we have, it keeps us stuck. So with BDD and the lack of energy, sometimes it even turns into procrastination or even laziness, and that's very difficult. You know, our behaviors, our obsessive behavior, we become a victim to it, and it's a vicious cycle. So one of the people that I admire greatly in this world is the great Tony Robbins, the international motivational speaker and someone who has helped millions of people around the world to change their life. And he is somebody that I've admired. I've taken some workshops from, not specific to BDD or an eating disorder, but Obviously, it's him about changing your life to become a success in your life. But I've been able to adopt some of the techniques and tools that he has taught to use with changing our mindset with BDD. And I want to share this one in particular with you. You see, with BDD, we feel insecure. We don't feel good enough. Have you noticed what it's like with people who are feeling insecure, how they carry themselves in the world, how they move their body, how they walk around in the world? A lot of us, when we're feeling ashamed of ourselves, we walk with our head down. We don't look out in the world. We don't want to make eye contact with people because we're so ashamed. Another thing that we do is we don't walk straight up. We walk with our shoulders rounded forward. That is a position of trying to protect ourselves. When we walk like that, aside from the fact that we may have back issues, but when we walk like that, it's a way to protect our heart. We've been hurt so deeply that when we walk with our shoulders down, it's a way to cover our heart because we don't want to be hurt again. Another thing that we do is we breathe shallow. We could be having fear or anxiety or we're even shy. And so we breathe shallow and our breath quickens. So what we can do to change that, number one, is try to breathe a little deeper. Try to notice how you're breathing and take deeper breaths. Now, I don't mean breathe deeply and then exhale deeply. It's just notice if we're quickening the breath, and if it's shallow, to take a little deeper breath. If possible, hold your head up and look out into the world. See what's out there. It doesn't mean that you have to make eye contact with anybody, but just try to hold your head up. Try to change your posture. Try to straighten up. That is a position of empowerment. I know we don't feel that way a lot of the times, but it's a way to be able to open up our body, open up our chest a little bit, okay? And open up our heart a little bit. You see, the fastest way to change our emotional state is to change our physical state and to change our physiology. So the way to do that is to stand up straighter, look out in the world, breathe a little deeper. You see, Tony says that emotion is created by motion. The way you move determines the way you feel. So let me ask you this. Have you ever gone in an interview for a job, let's say? You're on your way, you're not really sure you want the job, you don't know if this is a job for you, and you're having some doubts about it. But then you get there and you're in front of the interviewer. You want to put your best foot forward, and you have to change the way you feel and the way you're presenting yourself like that. You put on a smile, possibly look at the interviewer in the eye, and you change your stance. You sit up straight because you want to prove to them that maybe you are the best person for this job. You want to prove to them that you have the knowledge. So you have to change your mindset automatically. You can do it. So there is something that Tony has taught that I want to share with you that I have used in wanting to change my mindset when I'm going off the deep end, when I'm having all these obsessive thoughts or doing obsessive behavior, like getting on the scale or body checking in the mirror constantly. So what he talks about is putting yourself in peak state. When you are in peak state, you're in a position of power. And putting yourself in peak state is a way to be able to present yourself, even to yourself, in a better way. And how do we put ourselves in a peak state? Well, Tony has talked about this thing called make your move. It was silly to me when I first did it, but when I've done it over and over again, it actually worked to be able to shift my physiology and to shift my mindset. So what is make your move? Make your move is a move that you make to help you feel like you're being empowered. It's a move that you make that puts you in a position of feeling like I can handle this. Yes, I can do this. I can handle this. So I'm going to show you what I did for Make My Move, okay? Make my move look like this. Yes, yes, yes. That is my power move. But you can make up a move that could make you feel that way. So I'm going to ask you to stand up now, and I'm going to stand up with you, and we're going to practice on how to make our move, okay? So everybody stand up. So a make your move, a feeling of empowerment could be something like this. Yes, okay? Or yes, or yes. Whatever you feel that's going to bring you more energy into your body, something that's going to bring you into a state of like, you know what? I can handle what I'm doing. So I'm going to give you a few seconds and come up with something that is your move. Okay, you got it? All right. So we're going to do this. Here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Make your move. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I feel silly? Possibly. But so what? Let's keep going. Make your move. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm saying the words yes, yes, yes because it anchors it into our nervous system. The more we do it, it anchors into our nervous system, so there's a shift that happens over time. I know it feels crazy, but you know what? It actually does work, because when you're in that mindset and you want to shift out of it, you have something physical to help you do that. All right, one more time. Here we go. Make our move. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so you can take a seat and sit down. So that is what I try to do, or I have done, when I'm feeling like I catch myself, I'm going into the negative thoughts and the negative behaviors. So thank you, Tony Robbins. Another thing that I do to help me feel like I'm taking care of myself, feel like I'm doing something good for myself, and that is having a morning ritual. A morning ritual puts you in a place of feeling like, okay, I've done something positive for myself. That doesn't mean that your day may go awry. It doesn't mean that you may not have the obsessive thoughts, but you're starting your day off. Hi, Eddie. So you're starting your day off on a good path. And as we continue doing this ritual, we start to realize, you know what? I can do something good for myself every day. And it puts me in a place of positivity, even if something does change. Because let's face it, we all have things that happen during the day and that we have to handle, including what we do. So what a morning ritual looks like for me, what I do, is I start off the day with feeling grateful. I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. This is even before I get out of bed. I wake up and I think about what it is I'm grateful for, no matter how small it may be. I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for the food in the refrigerator, or even something bigger. You know, whatever you feel grateful for, start off thinking about those 3 things, or however many you want, 5, 10 things. The next thing I do is I get up and I meditate. Not everybody likes to meditate, but it's very beneficial. But it's something that I do for me. I'm taking care of my spiritual self. I'm taking care of the stress in my life. I'm starting off the day with something that's going to help me try to maintain a balance in my day. The next thing I do is I'll read something inspirational, whether it's just a verse from a book, or it's something on the internet that's very positive, or I'll read an article. And then I have my coffee. I have to have my cup of coffee in the morning. So this is something that I do every single morning. And I feel like I've done something to benefit me other than all the crazy things that we do during the day with our behavior and our thoughts. The next the next thing that I do, and something that I've found very beneficial, is called reframing. So reframing is a technique that is used to help us create a different way of looking at a person or a situation or a relationship by changing its meaning. So for instance, we may have in our mind that whenever I eat, I get fat. That is a negative thought that we have. But if you change its meaning to, whenever I eat, it nourishes my body and it keeps me healthy. So change the meaning that you give something. Another thing that a lot of us with BDD have, we say to ourselves, I'm a failure. I can't do anything right and I fail at everything. But change its meaning. Reframe the thought to something like this. We all fail. Perhaps I hit a roadblock. Something else that we talk about all the time, very prevalent, is I am so ugly. I am really ugly and I can't go on in my life. I know many of you have mentioned that on this page. But if you reframe the thought to something like, I may not be the most attractive person in the world, but I can accept the way I look, I can accept this flawed body part, and I can still live a happy, fulfilling life. Change the meaning, reframe the thought. It will help in time as you continue to do that, that you will see that you can accept your life and that, you know what, we're not all perfect and that's okay. We all make mistakes. We all do things. It's part of the lessons here. But to reframe the thought will stop us from blaming ourselves for what is going on in our life. Take off the blame. When I talk about, okay, I'm ugly, but I can accept the way I look. This is what I talked about in a previous Facebook Live, which is body neutrality. If you go back and watch some of those Facebook Lives, you'll see what that's all about. Another technique is externalize and diffuse the thought. Externalize that thought. So before accepting your thought as a command to follow, externalize it. So for instance, externalize and say, okay, I hate my stomach, but label that thought as a BDD thought. See, separate it from yourself, separate it from the thought that you have, and put a label on it that it's a BDD thought. Okay? And say, BDD is telling me, this BDD mind of mine is telling me that I hate my stomach. So when you diffuse it, externalize it and diffuse it, it becomes easier to choose a different course of action so that you can disobey the thought. Disobey the thought that you're having. I don't have to listen to that thought. I don't want to be bullied by that thought. So I'm choosing to disobey it. Okay? So if you say something like, my legs are fat and ugly, you're now putting it out there, you're diffusing it by saying, you know what? I'm not going to listen to that because I know my legs take me from point A to point B. My legs allow me to move around in this world. Again, this is a body neutrality technique. So if you say, I'm ugly, but you can, again, now you're reframing it and say, you know what? I like who I am because I'm funny, I'm smart, and I may be a little quirky, but I like that part of me. Don't focus on the part that you don't like. Focus on something you do like. There is something about ourselves that we do like. There's something, however that may be, however small that may be. Another thing that I have done and has been extremely helpful for me is to carry around index cards. On one side I put that BDD thought. And then on the flip side, I put something more positive, the reframed thought. See, it's a great strategy when we have problematic thoughts that we repeat over and over again. So when you're going through this, when you're having these negative thoughts, pull out the card and read what the card says. I've carried them in my purse. I kept them around my house. I've even put these things on Post-its. I'll put the negative thought on one side and the positive thought on the other side, and read the positive thought over and over again. So when we, for example, you can say, I can't stop looking at myself in the mirror. I can't stop examining my body. But on the other side of the card or on the Post-it, you can say, well, if I constantly do that, it only makes me feel bad. If I feel bad about myself. So there's the consequence on the other side. Coping cards and Post-it notes. Another technique that I use is disobeying that mind. Disobey the BDD mind. Meaning, there may be a time where you feel like you don't want to go out of the house. You don't want to see anybody. That's the BDD thought. Again, labeling it as the BDD thought. So get out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, you put down my BDD mind is saying, and on the right side, you put down the column of recovery requires me to do. So if you don't want to go out and you're hiding yourself, that's the BDD mind. But on the right side, the recovery mind says, recovery requires me to socialize. And you make a list of these things. And you don't listen to the BDD mind, but you pay attention to and listen to what the recovery mind says, what recovery requires you to do. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to just, okay, make this column, make that column, and now just do it. But you do these things little by little. For instance, you want to go to the beach. I'm going to go to the beach today, but I'm going to wear long pants because I'm not going to let anybody see my legs. However, recovery is requiring you to do something little different. Okay, I'll go to the beach today and perhaps I'll wear pants that are 3/4 length. Or perhaps I'll take it a step further, maybe even wear shorts. This is something that I had to do. This is my own personal experience. When I was younger, I would go to the beach and sweat my behind off, and I didn't care because I was so embarrassed. But yet I was suffering so badly. And over time, I came to realize I had to do something different in order for me to recover. So, okay, I wore pants that were 3/4 lengths. Then the next time I wore a pair of shorts. And yes, it was a little hard, but you know, the more I did it, the easier it got because I didn't care what anybody else thought. You ever heard of the expression, what you think of me is none of my business? Yes. Who really cares what anybody really thinks? Because it's about us and how we feel. What is going to help us to move along the path of recovery? Today, I'm able to wear a bathing suit. And it took a while for me to get there, but steps little by little by little. And now the next thing, I have a list of things that I do when I need to distract myself when going into the negative thoughts and the negative behavior. I find ways to distract myself so I don't continue on doing that. One of the things that I found interesting and I thought of, it goes along with changing your mindset the way make your move is. Sometimes that's not always easy, but this is what I've come up with that it actually worked for me. Yeah, I ring a bell. I ring a bell because it snaps you out of that mindset because, like I mentioned earlier, that perhaps these thoughts and these behavior become automatic. and we're just doing them over and over again. But if I ring the bell, it snaps me out of that thought. It's like, oh, I'm doing that crazy behavior. Oh, I'm thinking of something crazy again. I'm doing these crazy thoughts in my mind. Even having the bell near me reminds me that, oh, be conscious of what I'm thinking. It really has helped to shift the thought. Even if it's just for a moment, you're changing the behavioral pattern that you're doing. You're changing the thought process. And over time, again, everything's over time. Everything is a process. It shifts you. So I love using that bell. Even have a bell in my car, or maybe at work you can have a small bell. Even if looking over at it, you realize that, oh, maybe I'm not thinking in a healthy way. Other things that I have done to help distract me from the thoughts and the behaviors is calling a friend, taking up a hobby, even if it's a hobby at the house, do something that's different. Do something that you like. Another thing is maybe take a bath. Ladies, give yourself a facial, or men do that too. Or give yourself a manicure. Take a walk. Meditate. I'm very strong on meditation. And down the road, I will share what that meditation is that I do that I think could be very helpful too. Sometimes what I had to do was take a nap just to shut my mind off. And it's okay. You're taking care of yourself. Take that nap if you feel you need to shut the mind off. Pay attention to how your body feels. Maybe you're pushing yourself too hard. Maybe you're having anxiety because you're working too hard and you're pushing yourself. It's okay to do that. It's okay to give yourself permission to do that. Another thing to distract myself is maybe organize a drawer or a closet. Even if it's been done over and over again, do something different to distract yourself. A big one, limit your time on social media. We know how detrimental that could be when we're comparing ourselves to a standard that is impossible to reach. As I mentioned in a previous live, we're trying to reach a standard that we think is perfection. The people that we see on social media, remember, they're using possibly Photoshop, or they're changing the way they really are in person. All those celebrities, what are they doing? They have people who are putting their makeup on and who are doing their hair. Those are standards we cannot live up to. If you saw really what they look like, they're just like you and me. And perhaps they're even struggling with what we're struggling with. So limit your time on social media. And again, practice body neutrality. Accept your body. It's hard to go from hating yourself to loving yourself. So we practice acceptance. And the last tip that I want to share, and that I find has always helped me to feel good about myself, is loving someone else. We can't love ourselves, but love someone else. And what does loving someone else mean? Presenting a smile, doing a favor for somebody else, perhaps going shopping for them, perhaps reading to them, being there and listening to them. That is what love looks like, extending love. Because think about it. When you give somebody a gift, you make them feel happy. They're happy. You've appreciated them. You're showing appreciation for them. And in turn, it makes you feel good because you help them to feel good. You see how that works? So help somebody else. When you feel like you're not helping yourself, and excuse me, and you need to feel that you can help somebody else to help you feel better, that's okay. So love somebody else. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining. Those are my tips for today. I hope what I have shared today is something that you can use in your life. Anybody have any comments or questions? You can put them on the chat right now, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay. Well, thank you for joining. And if you come up with something later, you're welcome, Sue. And if you come up with a question or comment later, you can put it here on this page, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Sue. And thank you, Tina and Eddie, for joining today. I appreciate you. And have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next week. Bye, everybody.